Okay, so World War II. Everyone knows about it, right? The major battles, the big names, the whole timeline. But I bet you found yourself wondering about some of the stuff that doesn't get talked about as much. The mysteries, And that's what we're doing today, a deep dive. We're not going to rehash the history books here, but we are going to explore some of the questions that are still hanging around this global conflict. The what ifs and the could it be's, stuff like that.
You got it. I mean, the scale of World War II was just massive. Pretty much every nation was involved. And you had these totally unprecedented events like the Holocaust and the atomic bombs. Horrific. Absolutely horrific, but there are these persistent mysteries too, and that's what really grabs people's attention. And they keep sparking debates and inspiring all sorts of ideas. It wasn't always good guys versus bad guys. There were atrocities on, multiple sides, and that makes it hard to just slap labels on the things, like people might have done right after the war.
Yeah, that's what makes this deep dive so fun, is we get to kind of unpack some of the mysteries.
Some of the enigmas.
The enigmas, the sort of like technological marvels and unexplained phenomena.
Right.
And then just kind of lingering questions about what truly happened.
Well, what ifs?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Things that keep you up at night.
Totally. Yeah. So I guess to set the stage for anyone who somehow has just completely missed this monumental turning point in history.
Right.
World War II, 1939 and 1945.
Yep. Global conflict.
Unprecedented events.
Yeah.
I think concentration camps.
Yeah.
Atomic bombs. I mean, just like the sheer scale of it is
That's hard to overstate. Yeah.
hard to overstate.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because I think one of the things that your sources point out is, it's easy to look back and sort of paint things with a broad brush.
Right.
These guys are the good guys, these guys are the bad guys, but the reality is a lot more complex.
Yes.
And the sources really emphasize that, the capacity for some of the atrocities that happened wasn't limited to one nation.
Right.
Or one side.
Yes, exactly. And it complicates any simple narrative.
It does.
Good versus evil when you start to look at the broader context.
Especially when you consider, like you said, the atomic bombs.
Right.
And how those were used and the justifications and everything else.
Well, and even how history gets written by the victors.
Right, exactly.
So there's so many layers to this, and I think that's part of what makes it so endlessly fascinating.
Absolutely.
So I want to jump into, I guess one of the things that for me is really interesting is just this sheer technological ambition of the time. And one of your sources goes into detail about Hitler's fascination with powerful conventional weapons.
Right.
Almost this pursuit of an invincible ironclad kind of war machine.
This technological obsession. I mean, what stands out to me is the scale of it.
Right.
And they talk about this this monster of iron, which is it turns out to be the Gustav railway gun.
The Gustav railway gun.
Yeah. Development starts in 1937, and it's just the size of this thing is mind-boggling.
Well, let's give some numbers here.
Yeah.
I mean, 1,350 tons.
1,350 tons, 47 kilometers range.
47 kilometers. Just imagine the logistics.
I can't even imagine.
Of moving something like that.
It's just this incredible feat of engineering.
It really is.
But also a logistical nightmare.
Well, and they actually used this thing in the 1942 siege of Sevastopol.
Right.
And it was reportedly destroying bunkers.
30-meter thick reinforced concrete bunkers.
30 meters of reinforced concrete.
Right.
I mean, that's just
that's unfathomable.
Unfathomable. I mean, it just speaks to this immense destructive power.
It does. It showcases incredible engineering prowess.
Right.
But as the source points out, the practical challenges were enormous.
Right, because you have this ultimate weapon.
Right.
But it takes forever to deploy and fire.
Yeah, you can only fire this thing 10 to 14 projectiles a day.
10 to 14 a day. So it's not exactly a rapid fire solution.
No, it's not the Blitzkrieg.
No, it's not the Blitzkrieg.
This is more of a slow and steady wins the race kind of approach.
Right, but you're also incredibly vulnerable to air attacks.
Right. I mean, it's a sitting duck.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It's like having this ultimate weapon with a critical weakness.
Right. The source even makes the analogy to the Death Star.
Yes.
It's this incredibly intimidating presence.
Right.
But with that one fatal flaw.
Yes, and I love that analogy because it paints such a vivid picture.
It does. It highlights this almost fantastical element that sometimes crept into wartime planning.
Well, and then you have this really stark contrast
Yeah.
with the brief mention of inflatable tanks in World War I.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just like
A completely different
it's a
approach.
completely different approach,
Yeah.
right? You're going for illusion rather than brute force.
Psychological warfare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it just makes you think about the different ways
It does.
that nations approach warfare. So we've got these colossal weapons being developed, but then at the same time,
At the same time.
you have the specter of nuclear power emerging,
Right.
and the Uran project, which is Germany's attempt to build an atomic bomb.
Right.
How might the war have been different if they had succeeded?
That's the ultimate what if,
Yeah.
isn't it? I mean, it's fascinating to consider because, obviously the Manhattan Project in the U.S. was ultimately what led to the atomic bombs.
Right.
But if Germany had gotten there first, who knows how things would have played out?
Right. And your source connects this back to kind of Hitler's primary focus on conventional weaponry.
It does. It seems like maybe he didn't fully grasp
Right.
the potential of atomic weapons.
Or maybe he did grasp it and just was so focused on these massive, super weapons that he just...
right, prioritizing the immediate needs
Right,
over
yeah.
this more theoretical possibility.
So there's that. And then, of course, the Uran project never received the level of resources that, say, the Manhattan Project did.
Yeah, right. They were spread thin,
Yeah, exactly.
trying to fight a war on multiple fronts.
And it makes you consider those pivotal moments in history and the roads not taken, right?
Absolutely, the what if.
The what ifs, exactly. And one of the big what ifs, of course, is the figure of Werner Heisenberg
Yeah,
and the theory that he may have intentionally sabotaged
right.
the German nuclear program.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a monumental what if.
that's a huge what if, right?
right.
Could one scientist's moral convictions or even just like miscalculations
Right.
have altered the course of a global conflict?
It raises a huge question about the influence of individuals on history.
Yeah.
If the sabotage theory is true,
Right.
whether it was intentional or just through some kind of miscalculation on his part,
Right.
that had profound global repercussions.
Yeah, it's a powerful example of how scientific endeavor intersects with
Right.
political and ethical considerations.
Right. It's not just about the science.
No,
It's about the implications.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and go to a topic that almost feels like it belongs in the realm of science fiction.
Okay.
German flying saucers.
Oh, yeah.
Your source even mentions documents and sketches.
Right. I mean, this is where we start to get into the really fringe stuff.
It's a leap.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a leap
Yeah.
beyond our conventional understanding of
Yeah.
wartime technology.
So we're talking about designs like the Hanabu and the Brill,
Right.
supposedly operating on principles of anti-gravity.
Anti-gravity free energy.
Free energy. I mean,
This is stuff that challenges our current understanding of physics.
are we talking about like actual like flying saucers?
It's hard to say based on the evidence presented.
Right.
These claims are obviously highly speculative,
Yeah.
but it's intriguing to think about.
Well, and what's interesting is that your source argues against the idea that these designs were inspired by post-war UFO sightings,
Right.
instead proposing this connection to esotericism,
Esotericism, ancient mythology,
ancient mythology,
the
Atlantis.
lost city of Atlantis.
Yeah, so we're not talking about like, some kind of like reverse engineering of alien technology.
No, this is something.
It's like a totally different origin story.
Yeah, it's rooted in something much older and more mysterious.
Yeah, and what I find so fascinating about that is that it suggests this potential intersection
Right.
of technological ambition.
With these kind of esoteric beliefs.
Yeah, with these more esoteric, even occult beliefs.
Yeah, within certain
In
elements
certain elements.
of the Nazi regime.
Right, so it's this really fascinating and maybe even unsettling blend of pseudoscience
So, yeah.
and the pursuit of advanced technology.
Right, pushing the boundaries.
Pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, what's possible?
Okay, so let's move on to another kind of like perplexing mystery, which is the Foo Fighters.
The Foo Fighters, yeah.
So Allied pilots during the war
Right.
reporting these strange lights
Strange lights, luminous,
capable of impossible maneuvers.
yeah, defying the laws of physics.
What do you make of these accounts?
It's hard to say for sure what they were seeing. The descriptions are certainly compelling, these luminous spheres performing tight turns, sudden accelerations.
And significantly not responding to attacks.
Right, that's what really fuels the mystery.
Yeah.
Because it suggests they weren't just conventional enemy aircraft.
So was it some kind of secret German technology? Psychological warfare?
Possibly.
Just designed to unnerve the Allied pilots?
Right. Or could it be something more mundane?
Right.
Some unusual atmospheric phenomena.
Right. Your source touches on all these possibilities.
It does, but the lack of any definitive explanation is what keeps this mystery alive.
Yes, it really does. And it kind of blurs the lines between the known realities of wartime
It does.
and something far more enigmatic.
The unexplained.
Yeah, the unexplained. Exactly. And speaking of enigmas,
Okay.
let's delve into the vanishing submarines.
Oh, yeah.
The persistent theories
Right.
of a Nazi escape to South America. I mean,
This is like something straight out of an espionage thriller.
this is like straight out of a movie.
Yeah, it really is.
So wartime disappearance of German U-boats,
Right.
and then post-war appearance of some in Argentina.
Right. It definitely gave rise to these enduring theories.
I mean, you have U-530 arriving in Argentina, July of 1945.
Right.
The crew reportedly destroying documents.
Adds to the suspicion.
Very suspicious.
Very suspicious.
And then you have U-977 spending 66 days submerged
66 days submerged.
before surrendering in Argentina.
I mean, what were they doing down there?
Yeah, right.
Where-
Waiting for something, hiding someone.
Right.
And the source lays out the various speculations, right?
Right. High-ranking Nazi officials,
Hidden gold,
secret document,
advanced technology.
potentially even Hitler himself.
Hitler himself escaping.
It's a captivating narrative.
It is. I mean, and when you consider Operation Paperclip,
Right.
which was the secret U.S. program to recruit German scientists.
Right. Many of whom had worked on some pretty advanced Nazi technology.
Right, so it adds another layer to this idea
It does.
that there could have been valuable individuals and knowledge
Being moved covertly.
being moved covertly right at the end of the war.
At the end of the war, yeah.
And then you have the even more outlandish theory,
Right.
a secret Nazi base in Antarctica known as Base 211.
Nice 211.
This sounds like an Indiana Jones movie.
It does sound like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
But the fact remains that the fate of 8 out of 12 missing German submarines
Is unknown.
is unknown.
Right, so it's like
So that's what keeps these more speculative theories alive.
exactly what did happen to those submarines
Exact.
and their potential cargo.
Right.
Okay, so from hidden submarines to lost treasures,
Okay.
the legendary Amber Room,
Oh, yeah.
described as the eighth wonder of the world.
6 tons of amber gold and mirrors.
6 tons just gone,
Vanished without a trace.
dismantled by the Nazis, and then just poof. It's unbelievable.
It's an irreplaceable loss.
to cultural heritage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are all these theories about its disappearance.
Right. Destruction burial sinking in the Baltic Sea.
Even the possibility that it was found.
Right. And is being held secretly by Russia.
By Russia, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like each of these has some element of plausibility,
They do.
which is why it just continues to fascinate.
Absolutely.
And finally, the source touches on something that's a little bit different, but still a kind of mystery. The fate of Hitler's lineage.
Right. A different kind of mystery.
Yeah. More about the end of a bloodline
The end of the bloodline.
than like a, hidden treasure or something like that.
Right.
But it does mention that Hitler's nephew lived in the U.S.
Right. Changed his name?
Changed his name to William Patrick Stewart Houston.
Yeah, trying to distance himself from that legacy.
Yeah, and then his sons decided not to have children.
So that effectively
That's
ends
the direct family line.
that direct family line.
It's a definitive conclusion
Yeah.
to a very dark chapter in history. Yeah, so as we conclude this deep dive, we've really journeyed through some of the more obscure and intriguing corners of World War II.
Some of the stranger aspects.
Yeah, the advanced and sometimes unbelievable technology,
Right.
the puzzling aerial phenomena, the enduring Nazi escape theories,
A what ifs.
the what ifs,
The things that make you wonder.
the lost treasures.
Yeah.
So I guess the central question for you listening is, what sense do you make
What do you make of it all?
of these enduring mysteries, the possibility of a secret Nazi base in Antarctica,
The ultimate fate of the Amber Room.
the Amber Room?
These are the questions that keep historians up at night.
That's right, that spark debate.
Yeah.
That fuel our historical curiosity.
Absolutely.
And I think, hopefully these surprising details and lingering unanswered questions
Yeah.
have given you some real aha moments.
Some food for thought.
Some food for thought,
Yeah.
providing a deeper glimpse into the complexities and the hidden narratives of this pivotal era.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just mind-boggling when you consider the capacity for both incredible innovation
Right.
and just immense destruction.
Both at the same time.
Yeah, both at the same time. that humanity demonstrated during this period.
It's a paradox.
It really is. And it makes you wonder what other seemingly impossible stories from history
Right.
might just hold a kernel of truth.
A grain of truth waiting to be uncovered.
Waiting to be uncovered, yeah.
Who knows what else is out there?
Thanks for listening, everyone. And remember, keep an open mind, stay curious, and don't believe everything you hear,
Especially on the internet.
especially on the internet.
But seriously, folks, keep those critical thinking skills sharp.
We'll see you next time.
Until then, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay skeptical.